Hey! In this video, I'm going to repaint this Elsa styling head to be everyone's favorite indie Vocaloid, Terra the Android. I bought this base specifically just to practice doing doll face-ups, so I left in most of that process. I removed the paint with 100% acetone and washed her face and hair. I primed her with 2 coats of Mr. Superclear, and I bought these Derwent watercolor pencils to see how they work out. I was using really cheap ones before. I'm mostly going to stick to Elsa's eye shape. Figuring that something will go wrong, I do the sketches in the colors that they end up as. Or actually, the lines on the eyelids get buried. For this, I'm going to do her details to mimic the style that the Vocaloids are drawn in the Project Diva games. So she'll have thin eyebrows and not too much makeup besides on her eyes. I'm giving her lipstick because Terra wears lipstick. I kept her lips thin because the lips that Elsa has are thin. I sketch in her irises and gauge where the middle will be. To be honest, I sketch her irises small in comparison to the Vocaloid style, but I think it looks like my style enough. I don't know. I'm gonna make her irises blue. I fill in her irises and lips with colored pencils, but the little bit of shading and her makeup is going to be done with soft chalk pastels. These are Mungyo brand. The browns were a little bit too dark for Elsa's complexion. Terra has blue eyeshadow and, I go crazy with it. Don't trust me with makeup? I kind of made her eyeshadow the wrong shade of blue, but it turns out alright, I guess. I give her just a little bit of blushing because Terra's a robot after all, but it really does help make her look cuter. I seal her again, but I guess not enough because I can kind of erase the pastels. Oh well, it's enough to add more pigment anyway. I keep coloring in her irises and pupils. I'm sticking to her mold on the eyelashes mostly, trying to get the ends to look a little bit squarish. For some reason, I washed the brushes even though I continue this project like 20 minutes later and they haven't dried yet, so I go and use cotton swabs instead. It at least helps me concentrate the color that I'm using. I still don't really know how to do makeup yet, so it kind of just turns out big messy block of blue. I tried to make it darker near her eyelid, but I don't know if that showed up right. Luckily, I found this 8-year-old white charcoal pencil since my pencil set didn't come with white. This was from back when I was doing actual art. I sketch it on and kind of dampen it on the nose and chin with my finger. I'm not too concerned about her scleras yet. I sealed this layer, but I couldn't continue with the face because of the weather, so I went on to paint her shoulders. I tied a plastic bag around her face just so I don't get any paint on it. Her neck had some factory paint on it, so I repainted it. I mixed up the color of Tara's sweater. I think the color was accurate enough, but it looked really gross to me, so I swapped it out for regular gray instead. I paint on the collar of the sweater and shade it with paint. I really wanted to have it be fabric, but I couldn't find anything that would work right. Maybe if I had sculpted the collar it would have turned out nice, but oh well. It's hard to see the shading while I'm painting it because the gray goes on lighter than when it dries. Even if I did make her sweater fabric, I probably would have had to paint on the stripes anyway. I put some masking tape on, crookedly, just so the line is straight. I paint in a couple layers of this light orange color. I take off the masking tape so I can clean up the edge of the stripe a little bit. I made the stripe under this first one in a darker color, kind of reddish. I freehand it and make it a little bit thinner. I really wanted the pink stripe in there too, so I paint that in. I clean them up with gray paint. The weather is better now, so I can go on the third layer of pigment. I work on our eyes, in particular making the pupil visible and trying to tone down that eyeshadow. Luckily, the Vocaloid style has the pupil be the same color as the iris, so I can kind of practice the way that I usually do the irises. I just need to make sure that they're all defined. Here I go in with more pastels, trying to lighten it up a little bit. Unfortunately, her cheek had a little bit of a stain on it. I tried to fix it up with pastels, but it wasn't working out. So I wipe off that cheek and just go over it again with more pastels. Stuff like that's always a hard decision for me to make because it turns out kind of gross at the end. It always leaves like a defined area where I've tried to fix it. I seal her again and move on to the acrylics because my last face up crashed at the 4th layer. I painted the top of her layer a bit darker to have some shading, then go in with matte white for the rest of it. I make the shading line kind of stark. Her eyelashes should be matte too, so you can see them clearly from all angles, so I'll go over them in paint. I mask off her irises to protect them, and I sand the paint on her eyes to get it a little bit smoother. As usual, some of the white came off, so I had to go over it again. I actually had to do this a couple of times. I move the paint around a little bit with my thumbs just to get cleaner lines. I unmask her irises and trying to clean up those lines. I paint on big anime catch lights. And redo the paint on her eyelashes because the white dust wasn't coming off. Now I can move on to doing her hair. I like brushing hair. Tara has very pungent bangs, but Elsa doesn't. And these styling heads have spicely placed hair plugs. Luckily she has 2 hairlines, so I'll thread the front line with the one behind it. I do this by taking just a couple of strands from either side and weaving them back and forth. It takes a while, but I wind up with a clean line of unfortunately thin bangs. I cut them longer than Tara's just in case, and trim Elsa's hair to be around shoulder length. I try to make it even on both sides, of course. I use some tape to clean up the fuzz from her sweater. I literally forgot that these heads were vinyl, and I can put in little earrings on them easily. I use a couple of stud earrings to give her a dermal cheek piercing and a nose ring. I bent the stud so it won't come out. Here's how she turned out. I think she's pretty cute and was pretty satisfied with the face-up process this time. Hopefully I'll be able to translate any of this onto smaller doll heads, but I guess time will tell that, right?